Well, hi. In today's session, we will see specificity, CSS3 specificity. In the today's session, we will talk about what? Specificity. Now, what is specificity that we will see? Let me open VS Code. Sorry. Open folder, desktop, web development. Okay. So, day 19. New folder. Day 19. And on the day 19, we can have new file, index.html, new file, style.css. So we are understanding something, specificity. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, HTML. Link rel CSS. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm having a paragraph over here, and we can say lorem ipsum. I'm getting background noise from your end. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So paragraph is here, style.css, and now I will write the code. Say paragraph over here, color red, then dot call bg or call text. One class we will create, color blue. Okay, and here I can give one ID, and we can say p info. P what? Info. So hash p info, color green. Now can you tell me, look at the CSS. This is style.css and this is HTML. So tell me which color you can expect to the text. Which color is expected?
Green color.
Green color. Why?
We apply the green color.
Okay.
Parent.
But how did you come to the conclusion that color is green? Why not blue?
Yes.
We cannot apply the class means I didn't understand. We cannot apply the class means what?
We can apply the parent for P for red and class P into green.
So do you understand what's happening over here? So here is a p tag. So here we are saying it should be color should be red. Then we have applied one. Okay, let's apply class col dot text. Now which color would be getting applied? Which color would be getting applied over here? Because paragraph is selecting this element. Agree or not?
Yes.
This much is selecting this element, right? This is also selecting this element. And this is also selecting this element. So which color would be getting applied? That is my question.
Green color.
Green color.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Mm.
Let us see. Let us see which color it is applying. Green color. See. So your answer is correct, but your explanation is not correct. Right?
We can apply for parent, but the
But
parent,
just a minute. Who is the parent of this P? Body.
yes.
So what's the concern of body over here? There is no, body is not coming into the picture in any ways. So answer is in one concept. Answer is in one concept called as specificity. Answer is in one concept called as specificity. So what is specificity then? What is specificity? Specificity determines, here you can say, which styles are applied to an element when multiple conflicting styles are defined. Hello?
Yes.
The specificity in the CSS determines which styles are applied to an element when multiple conflicting styles are defined. It's a way to resolve conflicts and decide which rule should take the precedence. It's a way to resolve conflicts and decide which rule should take precedence. Specificity, here you can say, is calculated based on the combination of the selectors used to target an element. Specificity is calculated based on the combination of the selectors used to target an element. Here is how it works. You know, inline styles. What do you mean by inline styles? Hello? What do you mean by inline styles? Am I audible? What do you mean by inline styles?
The style is select.
No, how do you define inline style? What is inline style? Hello?
The select the single element of the style.
So you are not revising, which means that you need to revise the things. You need to study on your own. So whenever we had learned the CSS, can you see here external, embedded and inline? So this is on the very first page of the notes. External, embedded and inline. So this is nothing but inline style. So I'm requesting you to revise the things.
Yes.
So class selectors and attribute selectors. Class selectors and attribute selectors and element selectors. So specificity works in this way: inline styles, ID selectors, class selectors, attribute selectors, and element selectors. So what is the inline style? Let's revise it a little bit. Styles that are defined directly on the HTML element using the style attribute have the highest specificity. Remember that. The style defined directly on the element using the style attribute have the highest specificity. They are usually applied to the element. Then ID selectors. Targeting selectors targeting the elements by their ID attribute have the highest specificity. If I make a one change immediately, if I remove this from here, now can you tell me which color should be applied?
Blue.
Blue or this P tag? P tag is also there. So red or blue?
Blue.
Why blue? Why blue? This is also saying color, this is also saying color. So your answer is blue, correct? But your justification, your answer should contain the word specificity. As per the rules of the specificity, right? Priority is given to the classes and attributes than the element. That's why blue is the answer. So selectors, okay, just a minute. For example, here, for example, hash my element as higher specificity than dot my class or the element, right? Now class selectors and data attributes. Second last priority, the selectors targeting elements by their class or attributes have moderate specificity. Selectors targeting elements by their class or attributes have a moderate specificity. The selectors, now last specificity is given to element selectors. The selectors targeting elements by their HTML tag name pdiv have the lowest specificity. Now see, when multiple conflicting styles are applied, to the same element, the browser calculates the specificity. The browser calculates specificity to determine which style takes the precedence. Here are some rules. The specificity determines which style takes the precedence. So inline style always wins. Remember that. Inline style always wins. ID selector beat the class selectors. Remember that. ID selectors beat the class selectors. Specificity calculations. Important rule. And order of declaration. So when you talk about the specificity, ID selectors always win. Just a minute. Okay. So what we have discussed, inline styles always win. Now, if you define, here you can say, if you define a style using an inline style attribute on the HTML element, it will override any external or the internal styles. It will override any external or the internal styles. If two conflicting styles, if two conflicting styles target the same element, see, if two conflicting styles target the same element, the one with the higher specificity will win. For example, hash my element and dot my class. For example, hash my element and dot my class. So this will win. ID will win. Specificity calculations. The browser calculates the specificity by counting number of IDs, selectors and element selectors in a rule. Specificity calculations. The browser calculates the specificity by counting the number of ID selectors, class selectors and element selectors in a rule. The rule with the highest specificity wins. The rule with the highest specificity wins. For example, this is the example you can see. For example, p.myClass has higher specificity than div. p.myClass has higher specificity than div, but the lower specificity than hash my element. Right? Now, there are online calculators available. I will show you. This is one of the calculator we have. So it calculates the ID 0, classes attributes 1. So if you can say something like this, if you can say hash nm, can you see ID has 1 specificity? Yes. So if you say dot coltxt, can you see class attribute? So who wins over here? Class attributes and pseudo classes win. The elements and the pseudo elements, the p, can you see directly p, the class name, this has won the race. So you can do something like this. Inside the div, there are the classes like col. Can you see now? Classes attributes. So they both have one, the classes, attributes and the element. Getting my point? And now if you give inside that class, I want to select the p. Now who has one? This guy has one. So if this paragraph is targeted by multiple styles, right? So this is the specificity for this kind of class selector, this kind of CSS selector, right? So here what we are saying, specificity calculations, the browser calculates the specificity by counting the number of ID selectors, class selectors and element selectors in a rule. The rule with the highest specificity wins. For example, p.myClass has higher specificity than div, but the lower specificity than my element. Correct? So not important rule, we'll see at the last. When two rules, see, sorry, when two rules have the same specificity, the rule declared last in the CSS takes the precedence. When two rules have the same specificity, the rule declared last in the CSS takes the precedence. Same specificity, when specificity is same, when specificity is 2, then order is considered, right? whatever declared the last, that would be getting selected. It is actually not important rule. So styles, so here we can say styles declared with the not important flag have the highest specificity and will override any other conflicting styles. Let us see what do you mean by this. Let us see what do you mean by this. So which color would be getting set over here? Okay. Just a minute. Now, so by the specificity rule, the thing with the ID would be getting selected. The thing with the ID would be getting selected, right? Yes or no? In this case, what would be getting selected by the principle of the specificity? ID. Now, if you write style over here, and here we can say color, cadet blue. Can you see color of the cadet blue is getting selected? Sometimes what happens? Now see, presently as per the specificity principle, importance is always given to the ID and element selector comes last. Agree or not? Importance is always given to the ID and element selector will come last. But there is one more thing over here. Style, as per the specificity principle, says that if element selector is there, ID is there, class is there, and style is there, always inline style wins. Always inline style wins, and that's why you are getting cadet blue color, right? But what I want to do, I want to give a green color. I want to change this precedent. So you go over here and you write something called as not important, exclamation mark important, exclamation mark important, and now refresh it and see color becomes green again. So this thing is called as exclamation mark important or important rule. Important rule. Style declares within exclamation mark important flag have the highest specificity and will override any other conflicting style regardless of the specificity, which means that if you want to override the rules of the specificity, just attach exclamation mark and important principle. It is nothing but what this topic, not important. So I will add it inside the specificity only. CSS3 not important rule. So this rule. Any question?
No.
So we don't need this thing as a page. We don't need this thing as a page. So I can say H1 not important. Why I'm saying not? Because generally negation symbol is this. Not important. Now what is this not important? So when you say not important, can you explain what is this? I just have explained you what do you mean by not important. Are you there in the session or not?
Yes, 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 yes.
So I explained this meaning. Can you please revise it?
Not important is the override,
What override?
the style,
Which style?
the element style, inline style.
Element style, inline style. I have used some.
Inline.
So what's happening at, so I want you to explain me a meaning of exclamation mark important, which means that this. Explain this. Consider this is an interview type question and explain this. What is that? I just have explained you, right? Hello?
Override
Uh-huh.
all the style and make your style.
All the styles. It overrides all the styles. No. Do you have some work today or what? You are not paying attention. Even I have written in the notes as well. If you see, the styles declared with the exclamation mark important flag have the highest specificity and will override any conflicting styles regardless of specificity. So specificity is bypassed over here. So technically, if you don't write this exclamation mark important, a general specificity rule says that importance is given to the style attribute. Importance is given to what? Style attribute. Importance is given to the style attribute. But I want to override it. That's why we use exclamation mark important. That's what this thing. So in CSS, this thing would be having highest specificity. In CSS, not important is the declaration that can be added to the CSS rule. CSS rule means whatever you write over here, whatever you write over here, whatever you write over here. CSS rule to give it the highest specificity. To give it the highest specificity, making it override other conflicting styles regardless of the specificity. When not important is used, now see, when not important is used, it acts as a flag indicating that particular style must be applied, and it takes the precedence over the other styles that don't have not important tag. That don't have not important tag. So you need to remember that. But also you need to use it with the caution. When not important, so here you can say, while not important can be useful in certain situations, it should be used sparingly as the last option. Remember, that is the last option. Overuse of this, overuse of this rule can make your CSS harder to maintain and debug, because it can lead to the unexpected behavior while the style. Remember that you are breaking the rule of specificity. You are breaking the rule of the specificity over here, and that's why it should be used, with gentle care, right? Any questions? Let me push this much code. Let me push this much code. And here CSS3 Specificity. Go through the code and you can ask me any question. Specificity. Now I can give a link to this example, specificity calculations. You may visit this online calculator. This thing is called as specificity. Hello? Any question? This is clear, right? CSS3 specificity. Now actually, before the responsive design, we can work with the transitions and animation. But responsive design, whatever I have taught you so far in the CSS, that is extremely important. Once we learn the responsive design, right? Once we learn the responsive design, it's all okay. You can develop any website. You can develop any website over here. Correct? But these are the additional points, transitions and animations. We will see. Well, we have covered a lot in a specificity today, right? I wanted to start actually responsive design, but let's do it in the fresh session. Okay? So we'll do this thing tomorrow. So we might need 2 to 3 days to complete the responsive design. And once we complete the responsive design, we will start with the project. Okay? Yeah. So let's call it for a day. We'll meet tomorrow. If you have any, I can start today also, but just revise whatever we have learned till the date, till the specificity. Because everything we would be using in the responsive design. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. I'm disconnected.
Yes.